All right, today I'll walk you through the tokenomics of the Sandbox. Sandbox is a metaverse kind of game, voxel architecture. Think of Minecraft or Roblox if that rings a bell, but with ownership. And we just released an article on that. We haven't done a metaverse project, so I thought this would be a good entry point for us to produce some content on that. So the Sandbox, they've got the Sand token, 3 billion of them total supply, which is an ERC20 token. And then there is the Land token, which is an NFT. And they've got 166,464 of those. And they play a particular role in the ecosystem, right? So the Sandbox essentially is this like game, event kind of thing, right? You can, if you go to a website, the first thing you'll see that you can download a client, and then with the client you can enter this game. It doesn't have to be necessarily a game. It also can be like events or just generally some sort of consumable content where you can walk around with your 3D avatar in this world. And that's kind of what the Sandbox is, right? So and then there's a whole set of different lands essentially on a map. So it's a huge map. It's got 166,000 types or parcels of land. They're all a specific size, and they can be bought. They can be combined to estates if you want to have bigger lands. And they have these auctions where they sell off the land, and land has been bought by, and this is interesting, quite popular names like Atari has bought a piece of land, and they've taken that and built their games on it. So that's really how it works, right? You buy a piece of land, and you can combine it to an estate if you need more than a simple piece of land. And then you can develop your own games and experience. So this is not done by the Sandbox necessarily. They probably have some content, but a lot of the stuff that players or users will use and play and get logged into, it has been created by others. It could be corporations that use the Sandbox as a type of platform, right? So in this case here, we'll have a player, and the player logs into the Sandbox and he can play a game. And this game can be provided or created by anyone, doesn't really matter, right? And he can play it. Some games will have an entrance fee, and other games might even have a mechanism where you'll have some play to earn. But that's really up to the game producers, right? Like the ones that produce that. And so then you're the player, you play this game, and you can access the Sandbox market, where you can purchase assets, like the equipment, right? You get like a new sword or some gear, a fancy hat, whatever, skins for your character. And all of that is sort of traded on this market, and you pay in sand, right? Like that's really the essence of this token. It's a medium of exchange token. So you use it to purchase everything in this ecosystem. So you go to this market and you buy and sell stuff there. Then comes into the equation a bunch of tools. So we have the Sandbox tools. Sandbox tools, essentially, there's a game maker and there's a voxel asset editor. The game maker is where you can create games, right? However that works, you have like NPCs, and you probably have to program them, and but they say it's not coding, so you kind of like create the whole thing for people to play that game. And in that game, you can use different assets. So let's say some artist goes and they design like this super fancy dragon character, whatever. And you as a game creator, you think that's pretty cool, and you want that as part of your game. So you can go to the Sandbox market and buy that asset off of the artist, right? And of course you'll pay in sand tokens. So you buy that asset off the artist. You own the NFT now, right? And let's say you also own a piece of land. Then you can create a game, right? You can then program how this particular asset, like this dragon, behaves in this world. So you have this map, and then you deploy that to the Sandbox, right? So on the Sandbox, then it'll be a world somebody can log into, like a couple of I don't know how large the maps are. There's probably a couple 100 meters or something. And you can log in with your character, and your character can then log into that land that you own, and play. Maybe interact with that dragon that you've deployed there. They can have like quests that they can solve, all sorts of stuff that you can get creative with and deploy this game there, right? And they can, of course, collect an entrance fee from that if they do choose to charge that. And so, yeah, then artists, like all sorts of people, maybe they don't want to do games, they don't want to create games, but they want to get really creative on creating swords or skins, whatnot, right? These artists, they can produce that kind of stuff and sell that on the market. Then there's this other thing that comes into the mix here, is like gems and catalysts. And these are specific items. They're also NFTs, and you can earn them via staking. So you can get them via staking, and you need them in assets to make them scarce, right? Like that's always the case with like assets, especially in the NFT space. People want to know how scarce they are, how many of these exist, right? Like, so if you create this legendary hat, and you would, you want to determine that there's only 20 of these legendary hats, and that might make people freak out about it and might incentivize them to buy it, because they say like, this hat is so cool and there's only 20 of them, I gotta own one, and that drives the price up perhaps. So gems are the thing that help with that, and the gems you get from staking. So then there's this Sandbox Foundation. It's currently somewhat of a centralized thing. There are talks about them decentralizing that so that you can actually govern over the foundation, what it does. But it works in this way. All the transactions that happen on the Sandbox market, or of course, because they're ERC, they're just Ethereum tokens, right? So you can also trade them on OpenSea. And on OpenSea, you'd pay a royalty fee. But essentially, all transactions that you do on the Sandbox market, you'll pay a fee of 5%. And those 5% are then split up 50-50. 50% goes to the staking pool, and 50% goes to the foundation treasury. And so the foundation treasury, they use it to do grants and help new projects, right? They fund new projects. So they'll, like some creator, game maker, they'll decide to create a new game. They could apply for a grant, and that could be then funded with these sand tokens that have been collected via transaction fees. And for the staking pool, they like half of those 5%, they go into the staking pool, and the people who have staked their tokens, they will get more tokens. The thing is, they have to stake land and sand, so both of these tokens have to be staked to have a chance to receive these gems. Well, and then once you have them, you can sort of sell them for you can sell them on the market, and you can get sand for it, right? So the thing is here, sand has this like currently one utility, really. You can stake it, and aside from that, it's really this medium of exchange token. So you use it to buy and sell everything. That's the currency basically of this whole ecosystem, which makes it interesting to some degree, right? Like the problem always with medium of exchange tokens is the holdability. How do you make people want to hold that token, right? Because I could make the case that, let's say I want to buy this awesome hat that the artist has designed. So I'm going to go to Binance, and I'm going to buy some sand, and I'll buy that sand. I'll take that sand to the Sandbox market, buy the hat, and then the artist, he might go and receive the sand that I've paid him, and he might go to Binance and sell it, right? So at the end of the day, it's just the token has just gone through the system once, but nobody has kept on holding it, right? So it's got this high velocity, and that's definitely an issue that I see here with this ecosystem, is that they don't have a lot of holdability of the token. However, if the ecosystem grows and there's more people using this sandbox, then the transaction volume will go up, and so will eventually, or hopefully, let's say that, will the transaction revenue that they make, right? And so the stakers will get more and more funding, which is then reinvested, which will help the whole ecosystem as a whole, I hope. Anyway, that's the tokenomics of Sandbox. Hope this was useful, and thanks for tuning in.